Hi, hello, it's Sabrina and welcome back to my channel. It has been so long since I filmed an actual video and not a vlog or a video in general. I think the last time I've uploaded other than Monday is in April. Much needed break from pretty much everything in my life. So today I want to talk about the top 10 books I read in 2021. I did stop reading about halfway through the year just because my mentality was just not there to read. I was in a major reading slump, and you know what? It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna go through all the books that I read and I loved. So let's just get right on into it. Now, don't forget, if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me a lot. Make sure you like and comment down below if you've read any of these books. I would love to hear your thoughts. So these books are going to be listed in no way, shape, or form and in order. I'm just going to kind of go through the ones I have. I do have some in a physical copy, and then I do have some that I read as an ebook or I listened to as an audiobook, so I don't have those physical copies. So I'll just throw a picture on the screen somewhere for you to see. So if you want to read it, you know exactly the cover to look. Without further ado, let's get started. The first book that I rated top was Unscripted by Nicole Kronzer. This book follows a girl that is going to a very famous acting camp. She's very excited to go. It's kind of been one of her dreams. She really loves to act. I'm pretty sure it's acting. I can't, acting? Or like, what's that thing where like improv? It might be an improv camp actually. Either way, it is an acting camp and she's very excited to go, but when she gets there, she realizes she is one of the only girls at this camp and she is very degraded for being a woman. She is picked last. She's told she's not funny. She's not picked for scenes. So this is really degrading to her, so she kind of decides to stand up to it and be like, I'm a woman, I am funny, I am capable, and overall, really love this book, mostly because the premise was that woman girl power, we can do whatever we want kind of feel, and I really love books that are like that simply because it makes me feel good. I feel like as women, it's so important to know that we can do whatever we want, and just because a man or a male dominated area is, you know, clustered with testosterone does not mean that we should be pushed out. So it is an amazing book, especially for me as a woman to read. I am going into a field that is mostly women oriented, and I would never want a man coming into that space feel overwhelmed. So especially needs to be done the other way around. If a woman is entering a male dominated space, they shouldn't be overwhelmed or feel like they need to be pushed out. So this book was amazing for that reason. We were really immersed in this environment. We could really feel what she's feeling. And honestly, I think I would go to an improv camp because of this book. Would I be funny? Probably not, but I would still go. Overall, I did end up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. It was really fun. I did do it as an audiobook, and the audiobook was so cute. I loved it. I would definitely recommend it as an audiobook. The next book I gave 5 stars was Eliza and Her Monsters by Frances Zapita. So I did read this book in the beginning of 2021, so I can't remember exactly what happens throughout it, but I know it's about a girl named Eliza. Oh my gosh, I was like, what's the lady's name? Eliza. Duh, the book is literally named after her. Good gravy above me. So this book is about Eliza, and Eliza makes these comics in online, and she's very famous online. Everybody knows of her, everybody loves her comics, but at school she's kind of this loner, doesn't really talk much. So obviously her online life and her school life are very different. So when her online life starts to become public and known that she is Eliza, everything kind of starts to go weird for her. And then I'm pretty sure there's a boy. Yes, Zelda's laying on my keyboard. Zelda, baby, let me move it and then you can still lay there. All I heard was and it was Zelda laying on my keyboard. Okay, so sorry, I was reading a text message, but she does meet a boy that is in love with her comics, and she starts to fall for him, and it's composed of like online message chat boards, and there are comics she draws in it, and overall it's just a really amazing book, and it keeps your attention because even if you start to get bored with the actual content, you do get those little brackets of pausing with the texting, or like we have like drawings like this, and it's just a really cool premise. So like right here you can tell we have a image that she drew, and then on the other side there is actually like her entire profile on the fanfiction website. So it's really cool. It's a really great premise, and I really enjoyed this one. I did give it 5 stars as well, and it was a really good read all around. The next book I gave 5 stars was Group by Christy Tate. So this book is a memoir about a girl that's in group therapy. I, for one, think therapy is an amazing thing to be part of, especially group therapy. And if you don't know much about group therapy, it's basically you're in a group with people with similar issues to your own, and you all work through it as a group, versus sitting in a room with a therapist and the therapist kind of telling you what to do with your life. But this book was amazing for learning a little bit more about group therapy. She just kind of goes through how she was struggling in the beginning all the way to when she was done with group and years after. And you do read it in a first person sense, and it is present tense. So you kind of get that step by step, here's how it's improving kind of thing going, and that's just really nice. We get to be able to see how group therapy helps you and how your mentality gets better, and honestly I just really loved it. I really enjoyed it, and you can really see our main character go from being very apprehensive to go to therapy and just being like, this doesn't help, it's a joke, to be going to, oh my god, like I have made lifelong friends, this has been amazing for me. Absolutely love it. Loved it. The next book I read and I loved was Unpregnant by Jenny Hendricks. I'm sure you guys have seen, this is now a movie on HBO Max, but I don't think the movie in no way, shape, or form equals up to the book. So this book follows a girl who gets pregnant by her boyfriend because her boyfriend decides that he wants a baby and decides to take off his protection midway through the action and ends up getting her pregnant. And she is Ivy League bound. She is a very smart girl, and she knows this is not what she wants. So she ends up going to a friend who isn't a friend anymore, used to be her best friend, no longer a best friend, to take her 3 states away where she can legally get an abortion without a parent. So, and it's just this trip that these girls take and all the things they get into, and her ex-boyfriend's following her. And honestly, I feel like this is a book that everybody needs to read, whether you are pro-life or pro-choice, whatever you feel about abortion. This is one of those books that I feel like will really give you the perspective of a woman attempting to get an abortion. I think that this is really one of these books that will open your mind. I know for me, it really made me feel some type of way watching this young girl kind of go through all these stressors. She's overcoming all these obstacles just because she wants to make sure her life doesn't get derailed, even though she did do everything she needed to do to prevent it in the first place. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was amazing. I listened to the audiobook and I found myself laughing a lot because there are some really funny moments in this really hard to read book. I really enjoyed it. It was just super fun all around and super funny, and I definitely will probably go back to it because I just loved it so much. Next book I have on this list is Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch, and I know I'm really late to reading this book simply because it literally came out like 5 years ago, but I loved it. So this book follows a girl who finds out her biological dad, after her mother passed away, lives in Italy, and her mom like made comments about him, like would talk about him every now and then, and she was like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna go meet him. Who's it gonna hurt? So she decides to go live in Italy for a month with this man, and she learns a lot about him. He works at an American memorial in Italy. He is kind of this really smart, funny guy, and she meets a man who lives in like a gingerbread house style house down the road, and it just follows her in all these adventures, exploring Italy, meeting her dad. Now there is a twist about 3/4 of the way in, which to me kind of angered me a little bit, but I mean, what am I gonna do about it? I mean, I'm not the author, I'm not the publisher, I'm not the editor, but it brought the rating down a teeny bit for me. But overall, I still did give it 5 stars because I loved it until that little twist, and then the twist just kind of went away and nobody cared about it anymore. So you know what, I wasn't even mad about it, to be perfectly perfectly honest, because once it went away, it was like, oh, we don't care about this twist anymore. All right, bet. So I did love that book. I thought it was really fun, and I do want to visit Italy. It is one of my top places I really want to visit. Do I speak Italian? No. Will I need to get one of those Google translators where I can talk to it and it'll tell you what I said in Italian? Probably, but I still want to go. The next book I read that was 5 stars is No Exit by Taylor Adams. Woo! That did not want to come out of my mouth. This book follows a girl who is driving home to Gelato. My sister lives in that state. Still can't say it correctly. But she is driving home because she found out her mom is getting a surgery for her cancer. So she is driving home to be with her mom. So it is snowing really bad, blizzarding out, and she decided it's probably unsafe for me to drive. Her little car cannot make it through the snow, and so she ends up pulling over at a rest stop to stay the night. Now at this rest stop, she does meet a few people. She meets 2 boys, she meets a couple, and she's kind of just, you know, playing cards with these people because they're all trying to pass the time, when she realizes the 2 boys have a little girl in a dog cage in the back of their van. So this book kind of follows her struggle to get this girl out, get this girl to safety, and it is very much a thriller horror book. Very good. Absolutely loved it. It kept me on the edge the entire time. I found myself talking to myself and like talking to the book as I was listening to the audiobook, and you know it's a good book when you're like talking to yourself throughout it. And I believe it's becoming a movie on Netflix, I believe. And Netflix has been one of those like TV providers that have made the best book to movie adaptations. So I'm super excited for it because the book kept me on edge the entire time. It was very graphic and gory at times. So I'm really hoping those aspects take into the Netflix adaptation, because I know with There Is Someone Inside Your House, it wasn't as gory as the book was. So I'm hoping that No Exit stays gory, but we'll see. The next book I have is Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. So this book follows 2 boys who are very gay, and they end up going to an Odyssey con. So I believe Odyssey is kind of like Magic the Gathering style card games, and they end up going together on a bus, and they end up falling for each other, and it kind of follows this love-hate relationship, and I loved it. At times this relationship is a little bit toxic, but honestly I feel like a lot of the books that I read where the couple is kind of toxic are always kind of interesting. But side note, don't be in a toxic relationship, only read them. Thank you. I don't know who needed to hear that, but you're welcome. Yes, I loved it honestly, because me and my husband are very much nerds. We do go to Comic-Cons and all that stuff when we can, so obviously this is something that I could have very much related to, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was a lot of fun, very exciting, and I love the 2 characters' personalities, because one is like very nerdy, he is poor, he definitely is like lower middle class, and then we have one that's like football star, very popular. So it's very 2 unlikely people that get together, and honestly I just really liked it. And the next book I have is The Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, the graphic novel edition. Now that's important. So this book follows a boy whose brother is murdered, and in this urban culture that he lives in, where gangs are very prominent, if your friend, family, someone you love is killed in a gang action, it is your responsibility to go after that person and kill them. So it's kind of this chain link reaction of murders, which is super sad. And I really loved this book because throughout it, he is going down an elevator from, you know, his apartment all the way down to the ground floor with a gun in his pocket to go after the guy that killed his brother. And every floor it stops and he meets someone who was killed by gang violence. So he meets his brother, his dad, like it's people that he knows and loves who were killed by gang violence. And this is such an eye-opening book. It will make you cry. The graphic novel is very graphic. There are quite a few scenes that are hard to look at, but it makes it a little bit more real, and especially for people like me who do live in the Midwest and live surrounded by cornfields, it's a very chilling aspect for me to know that there are areas that are gang populated and there are children who think this way, and it's just a very big eye-opener. And I think especially if you're like me, a person that's going into a social service or a human service field, this is one of those books that will really open your eyes and I think you'll love. Next book I have here is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. So Rainbow Rowell has been gotten so much criticism lately, and I know that, but this book does not seem to be as bad as some of her other books. Correct me if I'm wrong. If any of y'all have opinions on it, please let's have a conversation. So this book follows a girl who is a Simon Snow fan, and honestly kind of reminds me of like comic book. I was a J. Beebs fan myself, so I don't know, but basically, her and her twin sister used to be obsessed with Simon Snow, and she is still obsessed with Simon Snow, but her sister is not. Therefore, she feels very alone when she leaves for college, and she's still stuck in this high school fan fiction kind of life, while her sister has definitely moved on, and now they're not as close as they used to be. So she ends up meeting her friend, who is a roommate, and her boyfriend, and she becomes really close with them, and it's just kind of a story that shows you how it is to move on or even stay in a fandom. And I'm sure everybody here is a booktuber or whatever you even love. We're all fans, or we have been part of a fandom. I know I personally have been. I'm sure all of you have been. So we all know what it's like to move on from a fandom and then reminisce. I know when I was in middle school, I really loved Twilight, and my mom still has my purple "My Boyfriend's a Vampire" shirt, so I know what it's like to have those memories, and I can really feel what Kath is feeling throughout this book, and I feel like it's a really good book for anybody to read who has been part of a fandom, or you know, they want to reminisce on what it was like. And the very last book I don't have a physical copy of is Speak. I can't remember her name and I didn't write it down, so oopsie daisies. So Speak follows a girl who is very depressed. She's having a lot of things go on in her life, and she's kind of being hit from all sides, and we do find out a really upsetting aspect that has happened to her that has kind of caused all this anxiety and depression in her life, and it is very upsetting, very upsetting. So if you have a trigger that is sexual assault or domestic violence, I really urge you to not read this book. But if you want to learn more, or as well if you're going to a social service field, I think this is a really good book to read, just because it does open your eyes a little bit more to those kind of situations. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really good, but I really don't want to get into it a lot because it really will ruin it for you, because it's very fast paced, and basically the whole book is like under the same premise. So my husband was messaging me, but nope, it was my niece. Alright y'all, this is gonna be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 books of 2021. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you like this video, make sure you comment down below and tell me what you think of it. Tell me what you think of these books. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos like this, and I will see you guys next week.